So, would you like to play a game? What I've got here is a fun little card game called Without Rule of Law, WROL. Maybe you've heard that acronym before, maybe you haven't. It's called Are You Ready for WROL, a World Without Rule of Law? I'll read the tagline from the side of the box here. Find out if you, your friends, and family have what it takes to survive WROL, a world without rule of law. Explore 10 catastrophic event categories. Those categories are a new American Civil War, economic collapse, natural and man-made disasters, authoritarian government. Ooh, that sounds spooky. Terrorism, violence, and thought crimes. Emergency preparedness. Oppressive religion. Bank runs. World War III. And pandemics. Now, I don't know when this game came out, but I think we're already playing some of these categories every day. So I'm not sure you would call this a game or just a way for a group of friends or family members to entertain themselves for a little while. You've got a box here full of a whole bunch of cards. They're divided into those categories we just talked about. Pretty much what you do is you pick a card at random. On the back of the card, there's a scenario. You read the scenario out loud, and then everyone takes turns describing how they would respond to that scenario. What would they do in that situation? So I think what we'll do here, I'll draw a couple of these cards. I'll read the scenarios. I'll tell you how I would respond to that particular scenario. But then I want to know how you would respond in the comments below. So I've gone through the deck of cards here and I picked out 4 cards. All 4 are from the World War III category. Just in case this video is a success, maybe I'll revisit this topic, but I'll pick from different categories. See what I did there? All right. So, let's see what I would do. Let's see what you would do in these situations. On August 28th, 2033, in the city of Detroit, Michigan. Let me stop right there. Something I've noticed about pretty much all these cards that I've looked through, they give you a year and a city. And I'm not sure how much of a difference that would make as far as how you would answer the question, the scenario. But I don't know. They could have skipped all that. What year in the city? I mean, they give you the situation. Anyway, here we go. During World War III, you are a civilian who has discovered a hidden cache, or cache, of desperately needed food and water. However, you learn that these supplies are earmarked for a nearby military base. Taking the supplies would help your starving community, but it would also deprive the military of vital resources. So that's the situation. Here's the question. Do you distribute the supplies to your neighbors or leave them for the military, knowing that your community would continue to suffer? That's a tough one. That is a tough one. You know, I think if my neighbors and my community was suffering and they found out that I had access to these supplies, but I just let them go, I think they would seek retribution on me. And quite frankly, I'm more afraid of my neighbors and my community than I am the military or the government. So, and, I also think the military has, especially maybe in a World War situation, the military is going to have access to more supplies. So would I take the supplies and give them to my community, or would I leave the supplies for the military? What would I do? I would take half. I would take half of those supplies for my neighbors and my community, and I would leave half for the military. One, I don't want the military to lose, but two, I mean, we've got immediate needs and people are suffering, so that's just what I would do. My neighbors still might be mad if they found out I left half behind, but I would still have brought half to the table for them. So I'm going to take the easy way out, and I'm going to do a 50-50 split. I would take half of the supplies for my community, and I would leave half the supplies for the military. What would you do? Let me know in the comments. Okay, again, from the World War III category. On November 21st, 2033, in the war-torn remnants of Denver, Colorado. Again, I don't think we need the year and the city. World War III has led to a significant increase in the number of orphans. Your family, already struggling to make ends meet, has been approached by the government to take in and care for several orphan children. So here's the question. That's the situation. Here comes the question. Do you accept responsibility knowing that it will stretch your family's resources even further? Or do you turn the children away, prioritizing your own family's well-being, but leaving the orphans to an uncertain fate? That's an even harder one. Now, that's not one where I can just split down the middle and take the easy way out and say, I'll take half the orphans in, In a lot of these situations, whether it's a movie, whether it's a book, whether it's a card game, when it comes to children, I got a soft spot. It doesn't say how many children. Several orphan children. So let's say it's 7 kids. I'm going to have to say, yeah, I would take them in. I might catch a lot of flack for that down in the comments, but I'm not going to turn away a handful of kids to a war-torn, uncertain future. I know that in that situation, it would be hard to even provide for my own family and even harder to provide for more hungry mouths. But no, I'm taking them in. I'm going to see how it goes, and maybe we can get them to a camp or something, or somewhere better eventually. Maybe it's only a semi-permanent situation, but no, I'm not turning them. Now, if they were able-bodied men, able-bodied adults, I'm not taking you in. If you're able-bodied adults with children, I'm still not taking you in. But if it was just kids, and turning my back on them meant that they would face, let's just say, an uncertain future, no, I'm taking them in. On January 21st, 2029, from here on out, I'm going to skip the date and I'm going to skip the city and just read the scenario. So, your country has joined World War III. Now, adults 65 and under are being drafted to fight or to be sent away to labor camps close to the borders. You have family that depends on you, and to leave them without your protection would risk their lives as the chaos of war engulfs your area. If you choose to dodge the draft, you face a lengthy prison sentence, and you won't be able to help your loved ones anyway. That's the situation. Here's the question. What would you do in this situation, and why? If I'm in a war-torn country and chaos is erupting all around me, and they wanted me to go fight, my family wouldn't be so helpless. I don't have young children anymore. They're all quite capable. So, if I'm definitely going to go to prison anyway, if I refuse, I'm going to go. I'm going to go to the camps. I'm going to go fight the enemy, whatever. My family is strong and well-trained, and they know what to do. I won't say they don't need me, because everyone likes to feel needed, but I'm sure they would be fine without me there. Now, if you've got young children or babies, no, you ain't going nowhere. You stay there with your family, and you defend them and protect them and provide for them. So I want to know, what would you do in that situation? Leave a comment. All right, here we go. You volunteer as an aid worker providing assistance to war-torn communities. While delivering much-needed supplies to a remote village, you are stopped by a group of armed militants who demand a portion of the supplies for themselves. If you refuse, the militants may become violent and take everything. You and your group of volunteers could mount a defense, but there's a 50% chance you'll be killed. How would you handle this situation? And how would you balance the need to maintain the safety of your team with your responsibility to provide aid to those in need? One thing about this card game, the questions aren't easy. It's hard to put ourselves in that situation. It's hard to tell exactly what we would do until we're in that situation. The knee-jerk reaction to this one is, I would just take them all out, right? Pew, pew, and they're gone. But you got a 50% chance of being killed. That means if you're working in a group, half of your group's going to be taken out. And then who are you going to help? You're an aid worker in this situation. So if you're killed, you're not going to be around to help anyone in the future. On the other side of that coin, if you give these turds half the supplies, guess what? You just fed a stray cat. They're going to keep coming back. They're going to keep coming back to that well until it runs dry. So maybe I'd give them half the supplies this time, but I'd set a trap for their ass next time. So I would go ahead and give them the supplies in this situation, but I would make sure that we were better prepared for such a scenario in the future. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm going to be ready for you the next time you come around looking for those aid supplies. All right. We're getting deep into it now here, people. And I'm getting kind of thirsty. All this reading of these cards has left my throat kind of dry, kind of parched. Cheers. Miller High Life, the pride of Milwaukee. That's not it. Miller High Life, the champagne of beers. During World War III, a group of foreign men appears suddenly at the gates of your community, located in the outskirts of Atlanta, Georgia. They say they come in peace, explaining that they are conscripted soldiers and they want to defect. They carry a few supplies with them. The question is, would you provide sanctuary to the deserters? What precautions would you take to make sure this isn't a scheme to take over your community? Now, as a military veteran, I know that if I were in the military, the Geneva Convention would compel me to take them in as enemy prisoners of war, EPOWs. But in this situation here, I'm not in the military, and I'm not bound by the Geneva Convention, so I don't have to take them in. I could direct them to the nearest military base where they can surrender. I mean, if that's really their intention, that's where they would go, right? They're not going to come to a community unless they're looking for something. They're looking for supplies. They're looking to get in and do a little infiltration or sabotage, something like that. So obviously they're up to no good. But I would tell them to head off to the nearest military installation. And then I'd watch them. I might even send someone to tail them to make sure that they got to where they needed to go. If not, lights out. During World War III, you are a high-ranking intelligence officer. We all know this isn't going to happen, not to me at least. Let's read on, though, for entertainment purposes. You are a high-ranking intelligence officer who has discovered a network of spies within your own organization. However, you also find out that your sibling is a key figure in this network. Question: do you expose the entire network, including your sibling, to protect your country? Or do you try to shield your sibling from the consequences, risking national security? I've got a lot of siblings. I love them all very much. Hello, if you're watching this. But if we ever find ourselves involved in a spy network and I find out that you're a traitor to the country, yeah, sorry, you're going away. You're going bye-bye. They say blood's thicker than water, but not if you're a dirty commie traitor. So, yeah, I'd turn them in. Hopefully there's still some kind of semblance of justice system where they'd be put on trial and evidence would be presented. I would hope for that. But this game is called Without Rule of Law. So there probably isn't a whole lot of, it's probably a lot of swift justice in this world. But yeah, one could only hope that we would still remain civilized, still have due process, equal treatment under the law, equal protection under the law, equal application of the law. But yeah, without a rule of law, you're not going to get those things. So anyway, what do we got there? What do we do? 6 scenarios? Let me know in the comments what you would do in at least one of those situations. Maybe one of them stood out to you more than the others. Maybe one of them you could picture yourself in that scenario more than the others. Let's hope it never comes to all that. But these are strange days we live in, my friends. So if this is something you're interested in, the card game, Are You Ready for WROL? A World Without Rule of Law. I got this off Amazon. You can get it from there just like I did. It's probably available in other places. There are other card games out there with a survivalist theme. Maybe we'll check those out in the future. Maybe we won't. Depends on how many likes and comments this video gets. Hint, hint. Hit that thumbs up button if you like this content. But no, I could see sitting around a table with some friends, and just drawing some cards and seeing how they stand. But I could also see where this would put somebody, in the spotlight where maybe they don't want to say what they would really do. So if you were going to use this as some kind of trick to see how people would react, I think people are too smart for that. But I could see where it could provide a few hours of entertainment amongst friends, pals, family, stuff like that. The quality of the cards is pretty good, about like your average playing cards. Overall, I'd say, yeah, it's worth picking up if you're into this kind of thing. And it's super easy. There's no dice to roll. There's no rules to memorize. You just pick out a card. You read the situation. You go around the table, and everyone says how they would react in that situation. You could probably do like a Cards Against Humanity type thing where, after everyone says how they would react in that scenario, if someone had an outstanding answer or everyone agrees that, Bill had the best answer, then Bill gets the card. And at the end of the round, you see who has the most cards. That might make it more interesting, but otherwise, these questions are, interesting enough, I think, even of themselves, that this could provide enough entertainment, at least to kill a few hours anyway. Have you ever played a game like this before? And if so, did it get interesting? Were you shocked by some of the people you were playing with and their answers? Did somebody that you thought you knew they would react a certain way give an answer that came totally out of left field and leave you just aghast with their response? I bet that could happen pretty easily with a game like this. So you're watching the Allodrab Alliance. My name's John. I'd like to welcome you here. If you haven't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button down below. Join the Alliance. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And definitely, for sure, leave a comment. Let me know how you would react to these scenarios if you were put in this situation. I want to know. I try to answer. I try to at least reply to all comments. I try. Anyway, I'll see you all down the trail somewhere. Until then, have a great day.